Hi there, Vibe Gardeners. Welcome to another edition of Vibe Gardening Inform Edition. We're going to be going into the third month update for these garlic in containers. As promised, it's going to be a little boring, but we're right near the climax of what we're looking for. So with that said, let's go. All right, so let's go into some of the developmental summary of what's been going on with these garlic. So what's been going on is that each one of these pots here has gotten to be about a minimum of 9 or so leaves for their least amount, where the largest one is reaching its 11th or 12th leaf. And by now, it's a little hard to actually do a full count on the leaf because including the first leaves that came out, the earlier ones have been dying off. And I'm not exactly sure by this point how much of them have actually fallen off and basically become compost in the soil, or they're still just hanging on with the drying remnants of those leaves. So at this point right now, I would say it's the largest one. It's about 11 or 12 leaves, which by this point is about the maximum for a music hardneck garlic. So with that, I think we're kind of near the end of vegetative state for the large one, whereas all the other one has are still clearly in the vegetative state. And because of the lack of environmental stimulus right now, these garlic are basically cruising into a pretty long vegetative state in that it's about 3 months not long now, which if it's in normal environment here in Michigan, Southeast Michigan is Zone 6A. You'll be looking at starting in March, and right now we're entering June right now, late March, and we're actually coming to about late June. And that is really at the time when most garlic is looking to coming to the end of bulbing and near the point of actually harvesting. And we're not there yet because we don't have any environmental stressors to really push that. So the garlic are free to essentially grow as they wish and get to the physiological end of that vegetative state. And when it gets there, one day all of a sudden the scape's going to come up, which I believe the largest one. I'll show you in a minute here with up close. Is going to get there. So how do we get to this successful point? So one of the things for sure is dialing back the light to about 14 hours. I believe that's one of the critical factors. And last time I showed you guys, I drilled holes into that large pot, and that has been a critical point in which I was able to give it the kind of drainage and drying out of the soil it needs. Which right now is drying out at the same speed or faster in the 2 gallon pot, which has been a total game changer in my ability to be able to water it as frequently as it needs without having potential rotting problems. So I've been kind of pushing up the 312 fertilizer at about 80%, close to full strength right now. And right now you're seeing that all the leaves are really in a healthy state. It's still showing some yellowing from before, but like I said, those things don't really go away. But it's really at a very healthy state. And the one thing for sure you see that's kind of interesting is that the leaves are not bending or as much as it should. If you look at any of the garlic photos from outdoor gardening, you'll notice that the leaves are all bending over, and mine really, I think, only about a third or less of them are bending, which is unusual. But then also, I only have one directional oscillating thing coming, as opposed to the wild outdoors wind, and with also the right amount of nitrogen and the right aeration into the soil, it's really staying firm and not flapping, which shows very strong vegetation. So this is a real successful image here you're showing. So with that said, why don't we go into the up close and personal of each pot to see how they're doing. So to remind you guys, this is the 1 gallon pot here. And where we're seeing the longest leaf, this one, I can't really capture the full thing on camera here, but it is about 19 inches in measurement, which is probably as long as you can get with the music hardneck garlic in its highest form. So generally speaking, this is in ideal situations. So 19 is kind of crazy, and this is the ninth leaf coming out. I don't know if this was a earlier leaf that died off. I think it was. So that's either making it I think it's 10th. I'm not 100% sure. But either way, this is a very healthy amount, and it's one of the least in all the pots. And right now, this one has been drying off at a fairly fast rate, as we expect. The fastest drying one. But again, we're using this moisture meter here, making it go down to the red before we start watering it, getting it up to about green or blue, and give it a nice cycle. And I can't even remember how often I water it because I water it when I need it with a meter. But it's doing quite well. So here with the 2-gallon pot, this one has now become one of the slowest drying pot now after the ventilation hood was added to the bigger pot. This one has 10 leaves for sure here. We got I know this one used to be a leaf right here that died off. And this one, again, it's not as long as the other one. It's running about between 14 and 17 inches with the longest leaf, but it too at 10 leaves is at a pretty reasonable rate. And again, it is doing quite well. All right, to remind everyone, this is the pot with the large one. I don't really know how much gallons it is. It is the one with the 4 garlic in here, living happily together because it is big enough to support 4 of them. This one has the most developed one. This right here is the biggest guy right here, is about 11 or 12 leaves, reaching its biological maximum. As you can see, it has the most leaf dying off here because just how big it is. And really nitrogen is having issues coming to the end because that's just how plant biology works. And it is massive right now, this guy. And I'm expecting this thing to start scaping anytime now because of the leaf development here. And the smallest one here, this one has about 7 leaves, which is also kind of, getting to that mature vegetative state. And everything else here, this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 to 10 leaves coming out. And this one's probably not far behind. So again, everything is sort of small as 7. This one's got 12, and everything else is about 10 or so. So they're all doing quite well. And the big thing here is that the holes we draw on the bottom, as we saw from the month 2 update, is really getting the aeration kind of going in here. It's drying off as fast or faster than this 2-gallon one right here, which gives me the opportunity to fertilize this properly with a 312 synth organic fertilizer with a hydrogreen. So once the scape comes out, one of the things that I've read from extension article is that once it gets to the point where it's just curling, I'll need to cut the scape off and be able to make good stuff with it and be able to really start changing the fertilizer ratio away from nitrogen and push more towards the phosphorus and potassium load. But that should come later, and that might be a bit of a problem right now because this one only has 7 leaves, and while this one's already near maximum at 12. So I'll see how I deal with that, but we'll figure it out as time comes along, and hopefully by next update, some stuff would happen where I'll show you what's going on. All right, guys, so that's a bit of an update on the 3 parts here and where we are developmentally. So what's going to happen in the future coming up, hopefully by the next update for the month 4 update, we will talk about how I was able to harvest some of the scapes and start pushing the nutrition towards a more bulbing phase with more phosphorus and especially potassium to promote bulb growth. So when that comes up, we'll see more development, but I'm definitely expecting the large pot with the 4 4 plants to get there first. And then I don't know what's going to happen with the 1 and 2-gallon one, but it's definitely showing that the 1-gallon one is getting a little bit stunted in its growth, in that even though it has the longest leaf from having the right nitrogen, I'm not really sure it's getting enough root space. But again, this is the experiment, right? So we'll see at the end how that works out. All right, guys, so now that you've seen what's been going on with the garlic, in summary, what we saw was that all the pots are progressing nicely in the vegetative state. And as we've talked about from month 2, month 3, as promised, is quite boring with everything kind of just going steady on the vegetative state. But what we're really seeing now is we're kind of at the end of the vegetative state when it comes to the large pot, and where the best growing one is already at about 11th or 12th leaf, which is the biological limit of what a music hardneck garlic can get. So next time you tune in, hopefully we'll talk about how either the scape is growing or how we got to the point where the scape needs to be trimmed off, and maybe some recipes on scape. We'll see. Either way, we're at the point where we'll be looking into the developmental change of the garlic. And I have no idea what to expect from the 1 or 2 gallon container as part of the experiment, right? And again, I will not be adding anything extra. I will not be adding any more heat. I might be increasing the daylight to 15 or 16 hours. We'll see. But in reality, this is a very low maintenance experiment where we're basically learning the physiology of how garlic develops. And it's already been quite the interesting journey so far. So, guys, until next time, keep gardening and keep vibing. Let's go.